Damn, Lee, I don't know. Is this thing still messing up? Right, I'm trying to be on the home server right now, but I don't know if this is still creating a problem. What's up, Jeremy? My ass is too broke to be paying for some good internet, apparently. Golden Boy Expert, Dick Dickerson, Leah. All right, so I just want to go back on some of these topics because I'm not exactly sure where I fell off at, but uh, I know we spoke about calm data, and that should not be an issue in truck driving, where you're not able to pay for fuel or pay for lump or stuff like that. Uh, I think what I wanted to was going to talk about next is if you do go to get the title for your truck, because I know there's a few people that I talked to that are about to go through this process. Um, and it could be an inconvenience. I actually had a girl that was cool when I was down at the DMV transferring my title. But if you go transfer your title, on the back of your title, you're going to see somebody's signature. It needs to say Success Leasing next to that signature. Success Leasing LLC or whatever it is. That needs to be written next to that. So the lady that I was getting my title with was cool enough for me to call Success Leasing, have them verbally tell them it was okay, and then handwrite it in. To avoid that problem, just handwrite it in. That'll make things a whole lot easier for you. So I spoke about my truck being in the shop. Hopefully it'll be done on Monday. Either way, I'm really not worried about getting out on the road all that soon. As long as I'm out by like the 30th or something like that, I'm fine. But I'm not rushing to get out there. Let's see. I talked to a couple different people. One guy that watches this channel who I talk to pretty frequently, and then I saw a video about another prime driver whose physicals weren't uploaded to the state correctly, or they may have been uploaded to the state correctly, but something. Hold on. Give me a second. I might go offline for a second, but I want to read this. Anyway. So, yeah, Leah, I don't know if that would work for you. I am waiting on the license plates for my truck as well, because somebody stole the license plate off my truck when I was in Pennsylvania about a month ago. All right, so anyway, damn, what was my? So I got to get the APU fixed on my truck. It's throwing a red triangle. So I need to do that before I go out on the road. Now I was hoping that my license plate would be here before I leave, so I could just get it mailed here and put it on. But I may end up having to go to Springfield and get that. 412, what's up? I don't know what's going on. I'm hooked up to my Wi-Fi now, but my wife has like one Wi-Fi that's supposedly good and one Wi-Fi that's not. So I don't know if I'm on the right one or not. I guess we'll see. It's your boy Danny. What's up? Another thing. So we talked about the physicals. Hey, if you got your physical, get your physical done with some time on it. Like I'd say maybe a month out, something like that. And then check in on that, because like I said, there's a guy at Prime that just posted a video where he was sitting at a truck stop for like 3 weeks while his CDL was downgraded, waiting for the physical to be corrected or something at his state. And then one of my boys just went through it. He was parked at the Sapp Brothers in Salt Lake City, and he had to wait there for about 3 or 4 days while his CDL was getting upgraded correctly in Mississippi. So definitely leave some time for that, because hearing about that twice in a week is a little bit more than usual. Another thing, a few people stop in here and take a look at some stuff or look at these videos that are going to be coming to Prime. And trust me, I'm not out here pushing no referral codes. As a matter of fact, I've probably only had one in the last year. I didn't even mention that just because I don't want that to dilute what I'm doing here. But if you are coming to Prime as a seasoned driver, our onboarding process is horrible. Okay? So if you're coming to Prime from a different company, you need to find somebody in Prime to walk you through the steps, because they don't talk about anything. I've had like 3 people. I had my boy Tim Travels come over, my boy Craig come over, and this newest guy, and I think maybe one other guy, where they came to Prime with experience, and they didn't tell them shit. It was like nothing about checking in at customers, like macros, scanning stuff, none of that. So if you're planning on coming to Prime, team up with somebody that can kind of walk you through some of these different processes that you're going to need to go through, because they are not giving that information out to seasoned drivers. All right, 412, when I get all the CDL shit done, I make sure I do it at the crib and show up in person. If you do it any other way, they're bullshitting. I agree. Now, the one time I did try to walk it in, I had like some cool security guard that was there, because everything was by appointment only. This one particular time I came in, and he did it for me or whatever. I think the last time I did it at the terminal, and they said that they handled it, and that, I'm fine with that. So all it is some more time to relax if it doesn't go through correctly, right? So I was fine. Leah had the same experience I did, where it was pretty easy to get the physical thing done. Like I said, last time I did it, it was pretty easy as well. I didn't even mess with it. I think the first time I did it, I actually sent a fax or something. And I was able to send a fax from my phone or something like that, and it got handled. Good morning, on my way to Denver, 3 load drop. Boy, I'm going to tell you what, yesterday there was a ton of accidents in Denver. It was like a fluke snowstorm. It like hit real quick, dropped about 2 inches, and then it was gone. But there was a lot of accidents. And depending on which direction you're coming from, hopefully you're coming from the east to west, not west to east. But and if you do come to Denver, you got a few places you could stop. If you're, depending on what time of day you're coming through, if you're coming in on 70, you got the Love's in Bennett, Colorado, exit 304. That's a good place to post up. You got like the King Supers grocery store next to it. So you can stop there, stock up on your food, do all that. If you're coming on 76, you got the Love's in Brush, Colorado. Nothing but parking there, but it's pretty close. But a lot of people that want to get in closer to Denver, you got the TA. I would not stop at that Flying J. I wouldn't really stop at the TA either, but the Flying J, definitely not. But if you're driving to the Flying J, you're going to see a bunch of trucks on the side of a road next to a Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop, a Target, a Texas Roadhouse, all that kind of stuff. As of now, nope, they're not fucking with you. So you could park there and you could do shopping, go to a comedy club, do whatever you need to do right there. What's going to become a problem is I'm starting to see a little bit of trash out there and drop trailers and shit like that. And Denver is sort of like When I talk about bad management, sometimes I talk about bad management because people wait for shit to get to a certain point and then they overreact to it. Denver is kind of like that. If you've been to that TA recently, right in Denver, they used to have like a little dirt lot there that was kind of like an overflow lot, but people were fucking with that. Man, they shut that shit down, barricaded it, and did everything. Like it was just like that quick. That's what I'm afraid might happen to that place over there. Is they might get to the point where instead of like giving warnings or anything like that, they just shut it down. But that's a great place to park. If I didn't live in Denver, that's where I would park. And then if you're at Prime or Navajo, you got the Navajo terminal, which is a good place to just post up. It's like right there in the middle, so that's good. All right, Pokerhead 76 coming, or Pokerhead 1776 is coming down 76. That Loves in Bennett, Colorado is probably where I would stop at. Close enough. I think they got a nice little pizza place next to that, if I'm correct. But that's close enough to Denver to where you're not in all the fuckery. And but you got to get there early, especially on a Sunday. All right, so we talked about that. Let me see what else I kind of had to talk about. We talked about the physicals, my truck, the title, calm data bullshitting all over the place. People representing Prime out there getting crazy out in truck stops. That was ridiculous. A question somebody had. All right. Let's see that 412, that TA in Denver. I always stop at that little goodie store on the other side of the lot for the wifey. You must be talking about the places next to the Sat Brothers. That I forgot what they call that place. What was that place called? Anyway, I think that's more closer to the Sat Brothers. And actually, I would probably stop at the Sat Brothers and pay before I go to the TA or the Flying J if you needed to get that close. 412, I'm surprised that video, he's talking about the video that I was talking about where that guy was definitely, it probably was the dumbest video I've seen. I don't think I've seen a driver do anything that stupid ever on video. And if he hasn't been fired by Prime yet, I can't imagine. I mean, he had the truck number visible, all that stuff. Trucker Kiersey, I was just about to call you the other day and see what's up. Yeah, Kiersey, I'm not sure if you saw that video of that Prime driver at the truck stop, which started out with him eating a Little Caesars pizza. That's as far as I'm going to go. And then he just went off the rails after that. That was like absolutely ridiculous. If they, I don't know. I'm not, okay. Then, okay, so these are just a couple questions somebody asked that I kind of just took down. Any places that I'd suggest to stop at while I'm out on the road? I don't know if he meant restaurants or just stuff to do. When I'm on the road, I am on the road. Now that doesn't mean that if you don't operate that way, that doesn't mean it's not right. It's just when I'm on the road, my focus has to be 100% on the fucking road. Because, like, I know people, one of my boys actually, he'll stop and go to casinos and eat actually, I know two people. One of my boys will go to a casino and then just eat all this food. And, somebody else I know will go gambling or doing whatever. if I do shit like that, or in this case of this driver doing this crazy stuff, that takes me out of my mode. I'm just like very one dimensional when it comes to being on the road. Like I can't recover from having a good time on the road to being back locked into a truck. So I got to be locked in. I mean, it's almost as ridiculous as I've only eaten out twice at restaurants that weren't in truck stops. And really, I haven't even gone to that many truck stop actual restaurants. But I had two trainees at different times when I was in Mankato or whatever that is, Minnesota, where I took them out to eat Mexican food or something like that. And that was right next to the Quick Trip or whatever we were at. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't have done that if I didn't have like over 24 hours, because I got to get my mind. Like when I leave out of here on, well, depending on when I leave, let's say right now, as of next Saturday, I got to be to my truck on Friday, midday Friday at minimum, just to get my mind wrapped around all the fuckery I'm about to get myself into. So that's how serious, not even serious, that's just how I am. I just can't do it. So for those of you guys that can do it, man, that's great. I just cannot do it. Dick Dickerson, if you look hard enough, you will find that video. 412 could probably point you in the right direction. All right, let's see. Best places to eat in Denver. They're not by any of these truck stops. But hey, if you are driving to that TA in Denver and you see all those trucks parked along that Bass Pro Shop and all that, they got a ton of different restaurants in there. You got a Texas Roadhouse. You got like an upper end steak house in there, I think. Not upper, super upper end. Medium, you got like a Ted's Montana thing. You got a barbecue place in there. By my house, we got some of the best tacos I've eaten anywhere, whether that be California, whatever, right close to my house. But that's not trucker friendly. Most of the good places to eat are going to be downtown Denver, so that's not going to be lending it. Or, if you're ever at that terminal, our new any of the terminals we've had in Denver, that area is right near a very Hispanic population, and there's a lot of good Mexican restaurants in that area down there. You might have to go about 5 blocks west, maybe in that area, but any Mexican restaurant that's not Taco Bell or Chipotle or anything like that, they ain't surviving if they ain't putting out good food, because really the main people that are going to be eating there are going to be Hispanic, shit like that. All right, let's see. Truthfully, all right, Lee is trying to give an excuse for this driver acting fucking ridiculous at the truck stop. As long as he wasn't under a load and didn't have alcohol in the truck and didn't drive, he wasn't doing anything wrong. I am absolutely sure Prime does not want you walking around, stumbling around a truck stop drunk, pissing on the ground next to another truck just because you're drunk. I mean, I understand, okay, legally, maybe there wasn't an issue with it, even if he wasn't under a load or whatever, but that's not a good fucking look. I mean, listen, Prime is already fucking up enough to where, what are they saying? Prime is the new Swift and all this kind of stuff. I mean, really, we're out there putting in work. You know what I mean? So we don't need. We're already doing shit, and we're already high profile enough doing just regular shit, not even coming up with additional shit to put us on the radar. Just doesn't make sense. All right. He would have went to jail for public intoxication. I'm not sure if Denver is like that type of place that would be that petty but possibly at a truck stop, you could have been. And had I saw that driver, whether he was working at Prime or not, I would have probably stepped in and at least tried to calm him down and get him where he, because that right there, that situation could have been life changing. And for me to just sit back and watch somebody possibly change the next 20 years of their life or 10, whatever years of their life over that, I would have had to step in. Now, if he was older and should have known better, maybe not. But a young buck like him, sometimes young people's brains just aren't as developed. You know what I mean? I mean, there's that fine line. I'm like between developed and Alzheimer's, so I might be at the peak right now before I start declining. All right. When I lived on the road, I used to stop at new places all the time. Yeah, I can't do it, Kiersey. I just can't do it because I got to be focused. Like, I can't even imagine going out and having a good time and then going back to the truck and being like, all right, time to hit the road again. My mind just cannot recover that fast. All right. Dick is asking where the video is posted. It's on YouTube. It's not hard to find. If Lau gives me a wrench, oh yeah, shit. I don't know why I haven't given him a wrench. Shit. Yeah, shit. That's my boy. I talked to him. All right, you got it. Let's see. I stop at steakhouses all over the country. I haven't even stopped at the fucking Texas, like the one all you could eat Texas place or whatever, just because. Well, first of all, the best barbecue in that area is at that truck stop, believe it or not, right next to that steakhouse in Texas. So I just go there and grab that. There's no reason for me to get in and I can't relax. That's what it is. Okay, for example, and this isn't just a trucking thing. This is the way I am. When I used to be in the mortgage business, mortgage bankers work bankers' hours for the most part. I mean, you do what you got to do to get the business. But in terms of when people usually arrive at the office is 9 a.m. I used to get to the office, especially when I was a manager, between 4:30 and 6:30 in the morning. Why? To wrap my head around just to get in the zone before anybody came in. Like, I could not come in at 9 o'clock and just have that shit hit me at once without having my mind right. Same thing here. Dope Strings, you ain't taking no Uber down here to this place where these tacos are this close to my house. It wouldn't be worth it, I mean, for a taco, but there's a ton of places right there by that TA. Just any of that stuff that's in that area where that Target, Bass Pro Shop, all that stuff, there's a ton of different places in there. Kiersey, I'm not sure that we can be talking anything about Trans Am the way we've been out there, running a fucking muck all over the highway lately. It's just crazy. Now, there's a difference between, listen, I can run my shit into median as good as anybody. I'm not talking about that. Anybody could have accidents, whatever. But some of the stuff we're doing is ridiculous to where we can't even be pointing fingers. But one thing I have noticed is Prime, the couple Trans Am trailers I have seen were not locked and they were loaded. So I don't see how that doesn't affect Prime the same way as if one of their actual drivers was to get their load jacked or whatever like that. So I do understand that. Man, here, let me just, before you get out there doing all, okay, he posted the video. I'm a little bit behind. Let me catch up real quick. All right. He said he'd been driving for 10 years. He was pissed because he sat for 12 hours waiting on his next load. Are you talking about the video guy? And if so, where'd you find that out? Oh, never mind. That was a Trans Am driver. Had a Trans Am driver at a meat plant ask me how to set the reefer temp. Okay. Okay, so Kiersey's talking about the Amarillo steak place sucks. I don't think I've ever been to Weatherford, Oklahoma. Okay, 412 is posting that link. I told him that's normal. Explain proper use of detention stamp. Man, there is nothing better than getting free money for detention. I don't know why people don't like it. As soon as I go to a place, especially if I'm delivering like 2 in the morning, man, take your time. I'm in no rush. If somebody else needs to get unloaded before me, take them. All right. 412 posted the link of the driver that, my God, that was crazy. I heard you don't have to lock trailers is because they run under their own MC. I understand that, but okay, whether Trans Am runs under their own MC or whatever, if this company is trusting their freight to Prime and Prime gives to somebody else, I don't see how them having their own MC makes that any different. Like, they still gave the load to Prime. Prime gave it to somebody else. The way I see it is Prime's still responsible for that. Or at least that's the way I'd look at it. If people can't see the video, let me know. I'll send my own phone number and shoot me a text. Man, let me see if I'll find the actual wording to look it up if I can find it here, but let's go. It's called Prime Driver Encounter. Truck, or the YouTube channel is Z's Trucking. It was ridiculous. Hey, no, it's got 782 views as far as I'm seeing on here. 412. All right, Truck Kiersey goes through Trans Am cargo insurance, but definitely makes Prime look bad to customers. Now Prime wants us taking pictures of every locked trailer. Listen, the steps that Prime is asking drivers to do before they leave a shipper is totally ridiculous at this point. It really is. And they want us to be careful. I mean, don't do this, don't do that. But you know what? Some places when you leave, if you actually want to follow it by letter of the law, you have to park in no trucks parking zones next to places just to do what they're doing. And then not only, depending on when you call, is it going to take 30 minutes for somebody to answer the phone. Now, usually I'll wait 10 minutes, then I'll start typing in, maybe 7-8 minutes. I'll start typing in the information because I'm just going to send a message. I'm not going to wait for it. But when they do answer the phone and you've already scanned in, which is you've scanned in the paperwork, and they ask me to look for a number on my bill of lading that starts with a, 250, and I've scanned it in, you should be able to see that. So here's what I do. If anybody's looking for that video, type in like Prime Inc. Trucking. If you go to the top 3 little dots on the right, you're going to be able to click on search features, click on within the last week, and then that's going to narrow it down. But you probably could just type in Prime Inc. Driver Encounter Z's Trucking. That should bring it up. All right, Kiersey, you have a good shower. Another Trans Am on YouTube complaining about using a detention stamp. Like, seriously, is it too much trouble to use the stamp? You're getting paid to use it. I was just talking to my man 4112 the other day. One of the good things about working for Prime, because he doesn't work for Prime, he does flatbed. He said he got paid like $700 or $800 in detention all last year, even though he was detained. Prime actually goes looking. I think they have an entire department devoted to collecting detention. So if Prime gets it, you get it. And like the month that we spoke about it, which was probably last month, I think last month, and this was only on 2 loads because this was, yeah, it was on 2 loads right before I came home. 2 loads, I had like $782 detention. So I don't mind getting that free money because it's not costing me any fuel. Sometimes it could put me in a bad position as far as the next load or parking or something like that. But for the most part, I'm going to take the free money and be happy about it. Gene Scott, Prime is trying to idiot proof everything, and you can't treat everyone the same. Exactly, Gene. And that right there is one of the issues that I have with Prime. And a lot of times it's a company that big, so I can kind of understand it to some degree. But I hate to keep talking about my old business because I did just go there the other day, and they still got pictures of me hanging up in the office, like a picture of me like in the 7th grade. But anyway, it was kind of a joke or whatever. But it's been there since, like for the last like 20 years almost. So anyway, when I was a manager, I kind of was under the Bill Parcells kind of management style. Was there is nobody should be treated the same. There is preferential treatment. If you are putting up numbers and you turn in a shitty load or a shitty loan, chances are I'm going to work through that loan because I already know it's going to be shitty. I'm going to go ahead and handle it. If you aren't putting up numbers and you're turning in shitty loans, then I might have to have you run that through somebody before it gets put into, the queue or whatever it is. And I think that treating every driver the same is an insult to the drivers that actually do things correctly. And it's just too cumbersome. I don't know if they don't understand how cumbersome it is or they just don't care. I would almost rather them just not know than just don't care. Because that's a lot of work. They may not look at it that way. And I know some of them were, the ones that say, I drove for 20 years. When you drove for 20 years, you weren't scanning in all this shit. You weren't doing this. Things have changed a little bit. And if you're, I don't know. I think that things could be streamlined a little bit better and not treating everybody the same way. That irks the fuck out of me right there, where a driver's been in Prime 35 years, following the same process as somebody just got out of TNT yesterday. Doesn't make sense. It literally doesn't think of that. Wrap your head around that a little bit. Taking a picture of the back of the trailer at the 01 and 90 is not that difficult. Taking a picture isn't, but I'm not always walking around with my phone, first of all. And my thing is this, is frogs in boiling water. What's gonna be next? None of the shit is difficult, but it's just like one more thing. So, how many different steps do you need to take before you leave somewhere? And like I said, I'm not walking around with a phone on me to take a picture all the fucking time. Why? Because I don't want my phone falling out on the ground. I may not even think about it. And some of the stuff is just absolutely fucking asinine. If I'm at at this point, you got to, what is that movie? Leonardo DiCaprio was in a movie. If you know the title, you could type it down there. But at some point, common sense has to reign supreme. If I'm at a Blue Beacon, it's 8 below zero outside, and I'm worried about putting a trailer or a lock on my trailer, and I'm going 30 miles down the road to a meat plant to pick up and drop a trailer. Does that make at some point we have to factor in common sense. So that movie that Leonardo DiCaprio was in needs to apply to this particular situation if somebody sees me in some of these obvious situations. All right, same as I know in Pittsburgh. All right. I started tracking detention too. I'm having gotten more than what I thought was due. A lot of places are paying for detention, even if it falls beyond what's in the notes of the load. Some places might have said they paid detention after 3 hours when there might have been a change to 2 hours or something like that. I don't necessarily use my detention stamp religiously. There's some times that I feel like Prime has been the issue with detention. So, like, for example, let's say Calm Data's down, or my dispatcher or night dispatch in general might take a while to get me my express code or whatever it is. I'm not going to hit nobody with detention on that. My first driver, Myra, she used to put detention stamps on everything. I mean, she was like religious about that. And I don't know if it was any more or any less, but that was one thing I know is if it was supposed to get paid, it got paid, because religiously, as soon as she got that bill, she'd stamp it. Even before she got to the, even before she got to the 90, I think it might have even been at the 01, but she'd have all the information already filled out, and then a little thing that says sign here. And then on it was like without fail. So I would say that would probably be the way to do it, more so than worry about it. But that was her routine. Did well. All right, so Dick is talking about Prime hiring questionable drivers. I'm not even going to say that's the case. I mean, that could have been any driver, but yeah, I don't know about that, but it was definitely a bad look. All right, 412, I financed my truck and trailer. Let me tell you, Lyle ain't the only Prime dude I'm cool with. 4112 is good with a number of different Prime drivers. I mean, he's a good dude to talk to on the phone, man. Pass some time, which is what I'm telling all you guys out there. Talk to different people. Like if I'm headed up to Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, whatever it is, I might call him, tell him where I'm delivering. Hey, you might want to watch out for this bridge. You might want to watch out for this. The weather's like this or like that. But 412, I know, talks to Terry at Tim Travels. I know he talks to, or at least has talked to, Freight Skater, maybe some more people. But I think it's good to talk to people from a number of different places. Dope Strings, I actually just fell asleep to one. Not that it was boring, but I saw that you did a live. I threw the live on when I went to sleep in my queue. So let's see. All right, 412. If y'all could just get with the program, you'll make about the same as me without 90% of the headache. All right. Ben Birch, nice you pull out of a metal tech at all. Okay, so he's talking to 412. That's why we love National. They automatically get our detention for us, and they go by your appointment time and your empty call time. If it's more than 2 hours, then you get your detention. Listen, Gene, a big mistake that one of my drivers made, and I don't know if he's in this live or not, but I had a driver. I happened to run into him when I was coming into Denver on a load. We were at like the Loves in Brush, Colorado. And he's like telling me, okay, I'm going to be going to pick up this load, whatever. And it doesn't pick up till like the back end of the window is whatever time it was. So I was like, I didn't even think about it. Later, I'm talking to him. He's like, yeah, they said they haven't got the load finished yet. Well, the mistake he made was not showing up at he kept calling the place and they kept saying the load wasn't ready, but he didn't physically go there and check in. So the time difference between his drop dead time and when the load was ready was probably a good 6 hours. That's 6 hours detention that he didn't get paid on. And I'm just like, if you're watching this, Rakesh, I'm not calling you stupid, but in my mind, I was thinking, how fucking dumb would you not be to, or how dumb would you have to be to not just go there and drop your trailer just to be bobtail anyway, just so when the load is ready, you don't have to go through the whole process. Maybe you can go to Walmart or park somewhere without the trailer or whatever, but that 6 hours probably cost shit. 500 something. I mean, I don't even know. I didn't look at it. Anyway, it was an expensive miscalculation, put it that way. So if you're at Prime, I don't care if you call up there and they say the load's not ready. Be at that fucking shipper before the drop dead time. I get the feeling that all drivers aren't treated the same. They have to put out there everyone is on the same level. Okay, I don't think that every driver is treated the same way, Leah. I do think there's a certain amount of leeway that certain drivers get. But as a whole, I'm talking about a lot of this. Like, I would think that if I'm a driver that's been at Prime, and don't even worry about me. I've only been there like coming up on 6 years. Let's say there's a driver that's been there 10 years, that's never had any issues. Maybe that driver doesn't need to, maybe all they need to do is put in the macro and fuck the call, or, I mean, there should be something that you should get from that. And I'm not talking about, because my fleet manager is like, okay, you don't need to do the live load call or live dispatch call or, some shit like that. But I mean, just some real substantial stuff that maybe another driver wouldn't have to do. Oh, here we go. Harlem status. Why are you promoting slavery under another man's name? Harlem's status. Let's just look at this. Call me a slave, but if you want to, and I'm not the type to be out here doing this, if we want to go pay, account to account, if you want to call me a slave, I'm gonna put my balance up against yours as a free man out there, if that's what you want to call it, and we'll see how slavery's treating me. All right, we have an internal load board. All right, he's talking about some other stuff. Yeah, we got to do the same steps. It's a lot less post up bank. Okay, well, here, let's do this. First thing I want to do is, if you're going to say that, here, I'll post my title at first. So we'll get that out of the way. Let me get it right side up. Now, as far as the account statements go, that's the stuff that's right here on this phone. So I can't necessarily get to that. So, but anyway, I probably wouldn't show that to a whole number of people. But let me see if I got another picture here. Oh, well, at least I still got this. Let's post up bank statements and titles. You know what? You listen. A lot of the money, I'm not even gonna get into this. Anyway, let's post up them 800 credit scores up there. But you know what? I'm not in it to have no big dick swinging contest with somebody. I mean, anyway, that's just ignorant right there. Bro, I was home every weekend last year and grossed $264K. That's what I'm talking about. Man, and let's say that I didn't. Let's say I didn't have any money, but I'm good to go where I'm at. Why is there some other guy telling me what works for me? Or for anybody for that matter. All right, Pokerhead's talking about the driver getting fired. That really pisses me off. And you know what? One thing I have learned in my old age and dealing with people's finances, because that's what I did back in the day, is the people that made the most money weren't. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say, if I was to take as a whole, I would say that the people that made the most money weren't always the ones that had the highest net worth. Period. A lot of the people that had the highest net worth, what were those the people that didn't make a ton of money, but were consistent about putting money away. A lot of people that made all the money, and this goes really well for truck drivers, were the ones spending it as it came in. So me, anyway. Let me get through some of these comments. 412 is talking about prime drivers putting up legit numbers. You know, there's some that are, some that aren't. I've never had a problem at prime as far as the money goes. What's up, Dale? Yeah, I just got done texting Eric yesterday about some crazy shit. What were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about chicken. And some of you guys that rock with my channel remember I was at a quick trip in Minnesota and somebody went and got all that chicken off of the little, they were throwing it away. And I walked with her, or I walked behind her outside after she threw all these little boxes of chicken and all this shit in the trash. And my ass, no matter how much money I had, was right behind her picking up $40 worth of chicken wings. So that's what we were talking about the other day. They were cracking on me doing that. I don't know anything about Andrew's transportation, Dale. I have seen him around. All right, let me skip through some of these. Can I get a shot? Listen, I'm done with that shit. Ended up, let's see. $412. I ain't gonna try to shit on nobody, but oh, that's what I wanted to talk about was credit. I had some people asking about credit. I'm not sure if we've got enough people in here to worry about that. If anybody wants to know about that, I've gone through my spectrum as far as credit goes. I think I'm qualified to tell somebody how to handle credit and what's a good way to get a credit score. So if anybody wants me to talk about that, leave that in the comments section below because it's a little bit different, I think, than what people believe. Let's change the subject. All right. Absolutely. Man, McDonald's and their sauces, the sauce I miss the most. And some of you guys might be too young to remember this. Back when Wendy's used to have chili, they used to have this chili sauce that came in like a gold foil packet, and it was kind of like a clear. I don't know when the last time they had it was. Last time I saw it was probably in the late 90s or something like that. But it came in like a clear, not clear, came in like a gold foil pack, and it was kind of clear. That was the best sauce ever anyway. All right, so let's talk about credit. Hey, Harlem, I don't care about the business credit. Why? Because there's no way that I would even want to have business credit, first of all. Second of all, being a former business banker myself, I realize that the time period that I plan on being in trucking is going to, first of all, I'm not going to need business credit because I'm going to have that much cash on hand. That's first of all. Secondly, I'm not, let me just put it this way, going to be in business long enough to where my business credit is going to be able to stand on its own. So anybody that says they're coming out the box buying a truck and it's all in their business without having a personal guarantee on it is lying. Chances are, even people that think that they're getting credit without their personal guarantee on it have a personal guarantee on that loan. So as far as credit goes, they did just come up with a new scoring system that came out probably about maybe 8 months ago. Damn, I forgot. It was called FICO 10T. Now, before that, if you were going to go get let's say a car or a house more so than a car, because they don't really, a car, they're not going to dig as deep on it. But with the house, a lot of people were running this FICO 10T score. And what that meant was what the T stands for is trending. So there was a time that you used to be able to, like somebody would come to me and be like, Lyle, I want to buy a house. I'd run their credit and I'd say, well, all right, you have like let's say you got like a 650 credit score. You know what? I can get you a better rate on your mortgage if your score was like 675. I'd be able to run it through this system, and the system would say, okay, his balance on this credit card is this much. If he pays it down another $200, it'll bring up his score another 10 points. And there's this other car loan. If he pays it down to this amount, it'll bring it up this much. So I used to be able to tell people what they'd be able to do to bring their score up, because it was just taking a snapshot at what that time was. So now what they're doing is they're looking at the trending data. So, for example, if I had a credit card and I owed $5,000 on a $7,000 balance, I would immediately be able to pay off that $7,000 or that $5,000, and then my score would jump up a lot right after I did that. Well, now it's looking at the trend. So it's not looking at, okay, now I owe zero on this. Now it's saying, okay, what's the average balance been on that credit card over the course of months? So you're not getting that huge jump once you make that change. One thing it's done is a lot of people that are on the lower end of credit and a lot of people on the higher end of credit. Well, it's harmed a lot of people on the low end of credit, maybe help people on the upper end of credit, and then people in the middle, it's kind of gone either way. But, you know, when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about this from somebody that hasn't gone through this struggle. You know what I mean? So I've had excellent credit as somebody that hadn't had a bankruptcy, and then I had excellent credit as somebody that went through a bankruptcy. And the thing I think a lot of people try to do is they try to force it. And my thing was, once I went through that, I was like, okay, first of all, my mindset was, I'm never going to want to find, I really don't want to put myself in position to finance anything anyway without the money backing it. So that was the first thing that changed, was my mindset. So I think when I went through this bankruptcy, let's say 2008 or whenever it was, I wasn't looking for credit right away. So I was looking to at least get a score a little bit higher, because I knew at some point I was going to, I already owned at that point 2 houses, which I kept through that. But I knew my score was horrible. So the first thing I did was I went and got a collateralized credit card. So basically I had the money in the bank backing up the credit card. So I think I got a credit card like $1,000, put the money in the bank for the $1,000 and borrowed it against my own money. I did that for a while. Then as things got better, I went ahead and I was going to buy another car. Now, even since 2008, I have not bought a car that's been over. I'm driving hoopties, you know what I mean? I think a lot of people look at my truck and they wouldn't consider it a hoopty, but it's, you know, at this point now it's a hoopty. But either way, that doesn't matter. I was going to buy this Ford Expedition. I think it was like $6,000. And I had the $6,000, but I was like, you know what? Let me just finance it, put the money in the bank, and have the money draw out of that account every month. So I think I actually bought a house before that. Either way, I wasn't out there trying to like force myself into credit. I think a lot of people, and you hear bad advice from people on YouTube. There's a truck driver I heard talking about get yourself $100,000 in credit cards or whatever. Listen, you will not be able to access that $100,000 in credit, because as soon as you start running them up on some of these cards, The other cards are seeing this and they'll shut you down. You'd have to do that shit within maybe like 5 days or maybe even a week before these other cards start shutting you down because they're getting that information. And as soon as they start feeling like, and first of all, you have to use your credit cards too. That's a mistake that I did make. And this was fairly recently because I don't really use credit unless I have to, other than the stuff that I buy on the road and then I pay it off like every day or every week or something like that. I didn't use a credit card that I'd had and they shut it down on me just because I wasn't using it. So let me get back to this. I give credit where credit is due. You did show a title. Not many YouTubers can even have that, but giving advice after driving for 10 plus years. Giving advice after driving for 10 plus years. Here's my thing. I don't really think I'm in position to give trucking advice. My advice is more life driven. This is shit that you should be able to apply to anywhere for the most part. Very rarely are you going to hear me actually talk about driving a truck. Even if I'm talking about arriving and the way I operate my truck, a lot of that has more to do with the way I operate life than the way I operate a truck. All right, trucking life with my Filipino wife. Do you have any thoughts on preferences on IRAs? I really can't give that financial advice. As a matter of fact, I could be giving wrong financial advice when it comes to some of that stuff because I think a lot of people wait around until they know everything. So whether it's the first vehicle or whether it's the best vehicle for retirement or the best vehicle for investing money or the best whatever, my thing has always been make the move and worry about it later. So as far as that stuff goes, I have old 401ks and IRAs that I have money in. Well, 2 of them. Then my wife has hers with Costco. I feel like the rest of the stuff I'm putting stuff in is just going to be a regular not a mutual fund, but a regular investment account that I run through Merrill Lynch. So it's not even necessarily an IRA. I probably need to run some stuff through that, but my thing is action is the best than me waiting around to find everything or finding the exact way to do it. Because I think a lot of people get paralysis by analysis. By the time they figure out the best place to do something, they've already wasted a year researching it and all this kind of stuff. So I can't give advice on that. I'm probably doing the wrong thing. I just know that I got money. I got a good amount of money in that. All right, 412. Going to talk about business credit. Talk about that. So I'm an LLC run under an S corp. I don't know why everybody thinks having an LLC just means you can get instant credit line. When I look back to actually being and this is before I got into the mortgage part of it, when I was dealing mainly with businesses, in order to have a standalone business account without your name backing that up, I can't even think of I would say more often than not, I would say way more often than not, it was somebody backing up those loans. Even as an S corp, they still run my credit. Absolutely, personal guarantee in that loan. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having business credit. I'm just saying, as a solo driver, I just don't feel like having business credit is going to benefit me, especially at 56 years old. Like, I'm not even going to scale up that high for it to even matter. If anything, I'm going to be scaling downwards. All right, 412 takes 3 to 5 years of business tax returns to have some bit of profitability for the bank to even consider giving you credits. Yep, absolutely. I agree with that one. Dope strings, people be short minded, don't even realize that you're showing statements on a paid off truck, even when you tell them. What time is it? 10:18. Might be time to try out this stuff that my wife got me. I bought some stuff the other day. Speaking of which, the guy that was at the truck stop acting crazy. I went and bought some stuff yesterday. A Jack Daniels single barrel proof. That was 135 proof, and that stuff. Normally, I just try to drink it straight. It wasn't that it was too like. I had to add some ice cubes to that shit just to thin it out a little bit. That was a little crazy, but yeah, I might get into this just to taste it. I was gonna wait till I come home next, but that's gonna be 2 more months. So, and to show people when the right time is to drink your alcohol, not while you're out there on the fucking road. That is absolutely insane. All right, so we got a Blanton's that was dumped on 1/2/25, so just fairly recently. I'm out here, Savannah, Georgia. Yeah, that's not a. You know what, Savannah? Actually, you know what? When I went to go pick up my truck when it was in the shop out there, uh, I flew out to Savannah to go pick it up. Man, that airport out there is fucking super nice. And if there's a place that I would have to live in Georgia, that might be one of the places I would live in Georgia. It would not be Atlanta. All right, let me see. All right, here we go. That's false. Let me teach you guys something. When you own and you have a title, they don't use you as a guarantor. You can use your title as collateral and move forward with business credit. Okay, that's a totally different situation. So I'm not going to go into the whole. That's going to be an entirely different situation, because the difference is the difference between. All right, that's a different situation. That would take a whole nother video to get into. And first of all, like I said, it's been a while, so everything may not be completely up to date as far as business and stuff like that goes. My thing is, with any credit, I think there are very few people out there that are able to have a bunch of credit and not use it. I think there's a lot of people that use credit unwisely. I don't see myself or anybody in somebody that has multiple trucks. Could be a different story. I certainly did get a line of credit when I had multiple trucks, when I didn't know when the bottom was going to hit. But I've tried to set myself up, especially now where I don't have the same things to worry about, where I don't want to rely on credit. I just don't think there's any good outcome to actually using it unless I'm trying to scale up to some place where, I can see there are some reasons for credit. I just don't think that I'm in that position to do that. And I don't think that the average single owner operator truck should be in a position that they need to have a bunch of credit. Because here's what happens. And I'm using this just from seeing people in general. So let's say they need let's say you need to put $15,000 into the truck. So they go put $15,000 into the truck. They could have money hanging around, but rather than pay that $15,000 off, they'll sit there and make minimum payments on it again. Then something else hits. And it's just like things keep compounding, and then that ends up putting you in a bad place. There's never anything wrong with credit. It's people's association with credit that's the problem, whether that be business, personal, whatever. All right, 50 somethings at home. I'll have a drink with you. I'm about to get into this in a second. Talking about depreciation. Okay, borrowing against the depreciating asset. I would rather take a loan out on no assets than a depreciating asset. So I'd rather put money on a line of credit, backing it up with nothing than backing it up with an actual truck that they can come and get, if that makes sense. My truck isn't paid off yet either, and I'm not a lease purchase driver, so I can't write off payments, but I do claim depreciation. All right, somebody's okay. False. You're not borrowing, you're using it as collateral when you're not putting no money. My question is, what would be a good reason to put money on credit for? Now there's reasons for it. It could be that the business is bad and you're using it to get out of a bad market or whatever, or bad period of time. Let's say in reefer, maybe you're using credit to make it from January to March or something like that. But I mean, my thing is, I'm trying to be in a position where nothing gets that bad to where I'm not going to need to be putting anything on credit. And I think those are truly going to be the successful people out here. Unless it's, you can use credit wisely for things. Like I said, a lot of times I hear people use credit is not for a good reason. All right. So 412 says, let's say you need to read. Okay. You need to put 27 to 40 grand in your truck. I can understand if that catches you off guard. So while you're building up, so personally, I can see using some credit if I'm trying to build up to get to that point and I get kind of caught off guard. But hopefully I would be, and not everybody could do this, but my goal would be to have that money in the bank for when that happens. Now, a lot of times you can get caught off guard, so that's a good reason for credit right there. But then the thing is this, I see is people having good months when they have outstanding credit and not applying that money down to the credit. So let me try to catch up. All right. Give me a second. I'm going to get into this Blanton's right here because the other stuff I have is just a little too hot. All right, let's see. Any 13-year-old that goes to that bar, bro, I don't know what we're talking about. 13-year-old is not a child. What are we talking about? All right, give me just a second. Now, this is what I should be. I was planning on doing this, just having this before I go back out on the road. But this right here, boy, you cannot go through this like fast at all. This here is 135.1 proof. This will set your ass on fire right there. And, obviously this is different than the Jack Daniels #7 that you see everywhere that you see it. All right, let's get into this Blanton's. Shit. Man, just opening this bottle is a little crazy. If anybody's collecting these, I guess these are. All right, let's try. All right, let me see. You got a weirdo in the comments? Just get rid of him, man. You don't need to run that shit by me. I trust you. What's up, no hippie? Hey, Ranger, Florida. I think that's Florida. What's up? Let me go back through here. All right, so anyway, let's get this a try. Damn. This almost has like a pineapple banana flavor to it, or smell to it. That's weird. A little bit lower proof than what I'm used to. Like I said, this is 93 proof. Usually I'm trying to be 100 minimum. Usually like being between 125 or 115 and 125, but this has a smell. Anyway, a lot of you guys aren't into this anyway, so I'm not gonna like. My wife got this for $59 or $55. I think it's worth that. I'm not thinking it's worth what people pay for that on the secondary market. All right. You keep saying credit. Your titles are assets, so you use what you have to get more and use it as leverage. Okay, here's what I'm saying is, I personally would not use credit in general unless it's an emergency. Now, if somebody's disciplined enough, and like I said, I can't see a lot. It's been a long time since I did do credit for a guy that was a truck driver way back in the day. So we're probably talking 1990. Maybe 1999 or something like that. He was definitely on that loan as a personal guarantor, and he went with the line of credit. To me, a line of credit makes more sense. So if somebody was to tell me, Lyle, and this is hypothetical, Lyle, should I get a loan on the title of my truck that's paid off? Or should I get a line of credit and use my personal credit to do that? I would probably say use your personal credit, because now you're not paying on it unless you use it. And you can pay it off faster and the payments go down and all that kind of stuff. If you get a payment on your title, I guess they could do a line of credit on your title. Not really. At least when I was in banking, not really something that happened all that often. But if you just get a regular title, let's call it an installment loan. Your payments, let's say that you take out a $20,000 installment loan, and then you have a big month or big week or whatever, and you have $15,000 to put down on that loan. Even if you put that $15,000 down on that loan until that loan's paid off, your next payment's still going to be whatever that next payment's going to be. So Damn, I wish I could say what this shit smells like. It's kind of got a weird. I don't know. All right. I mean, I get what you're trying to say, but a tractor is considered a liability to the bank. And one thing I will tell you, semi truck financing is some of the worst performing financing on the market. Period. Why? Because a lot of people, and this could be financing, whether it's like through traditional banks or through lease purchase avenues or whatever. A lot of people will just turn in a truck. Like as soon as something happens, boom, I need to pay for this. Boom, I'm just going to give the truck back. Why? Because there's so many other avenues to get another truck. Like it'd be different if it was like let's say a house or a car loan. Like if you default on a car loan, it's going to be hard to turn around right next week and get another truck. But you could be an owner operator operating and you get a truck from Lone Mountain, default on that loan, and then turn right back around and go get a lease purchase through, I mean, you may not be able to get traditional financing, but you'll be able to get another truck. Like it's not going to shut you down like that. I'm not saying that you can't borrow against it, but you won't get much. Believe me that. All right, Harlem. I own 2 trucks, been an owner operator for only 3 years. This trucking shit is easy. I'm just giving a different perspective. That's real life, not YouTube. I agree with you. Trucking is easy. Now, if you have 2 trucks and you have you have other drivers driving your truck, that's where I got to respect you, because that's the hardest part about the trucking industry. If you're going to scale up, isn't what you're doing, it's what other people are doing. So if you have drivers driving for you, that's where I'm going to give you the props, not owning the 2 trucks, because I just had another truck that was paid off and I could be running 2 paid off trucks right now. But when I looked at the drama and all the shit that could go wrong, that's when I was like, you know what? I'm better off just selling a truck and keeping a truck paid off to drive myself. There's too many variables in trucking. So if you're operating more than 1 truck, I have more respect for you than I could even express in a video. Hey, Justin, hey, that's right. I should call this Calm Data Live. Because, yeah, it was about as reliable as Calm Data. JJR, what's up? 412, I mean, I've been doing this longer than you and talking from experience. You're just repeating what I hear on YouTube. Hey, listen, there's a million different ways to skin a cat, right? There's a ton of there are a million different ways to do shit. So I don't think that anybody's 100% right or anybody's 100% wrong. So I think that, I don't know, man, I'm still trying to figure out what this smell is. This is not a typical bourbon smell. It's like, man, I don't know. All right. Anyway, it's like investing. Trucking life, my Filipino wife was just talking about IRAs and all this kind of stuff. I talked to Romaine the trucker. There's people I talk to that are like heavy into crypto and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes it's just not on your radar. Old people like me have already been through our crypto era in life where we've seen people, and I'm not saying crypto's not gonna hasn't made people rich and it's not gonna be the way of the future, but in the 90s, people my age saw people that did the crypto of their time take huge losses. So my thing is, how much exposure do I need to make? Or how much exposure do I need to put myself in? How wrong am I going to be investing in Berkshire Hathaway, Apple, Tyson, just like, how rich do I need to be? Is it worth not saying the people that do crypto, because at some point that probably is going to be the mainstream way and stuff like that. So there's more than one way to get where you're going. And I think the problem with a lot of us on YouTube or in life in general is that sometimes things are presented as only one way to do things. All right, we're about to get to that 412 count. All right, so 412, when was the last time you drank some white liquor? The last time I drank white liquor was when I had a drinking problem. No, I'm just joking. All right, white liquor, if you just look at people drink white liquor for a purpose. People don't drink bourbon for a purpose. Meaning, if I'm trying to get hammered, or, back when I was home every day, like back in the days, I'd drink vodka and whatever. And why? Because vodka, even an expensive vodka, might be $25 or something like that. When you start drinking bourbon, it's not about getting drunk. You know what I mean? So if I was wanting to get drunk, I would probably drink like a vodka or some cheap tequila or something like that. This is more about the experience than getting hammered. You know what I mean? So the last time I drank white liquor, besides the time, because my wife will make margaritas out of I think I see a white tequila this over there, which normally she wouldn't buy. It must have been on sale, but I think that was the last time. That was maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago. But the last time I actually drank, I went out of my way to do it, it's been years. And I would probably say that I haven't really been drunk in that long. The last time I really felt like I was drunk was the first day on home time when I came. When did I come home? I came home on home time. I think I was talking to 412 about this. And I was like, man, when you're out for a month or whatever, and then you come home, that was the first time that I felt like, man, it hit me because I hadn't been used to drinking. You come home after not drinking, and then you get into some good shit, and then it hit me. So I don't even get drunk really, but that time coming home, that got me. All right. See, 412, having $300,000 in three different crypto accounts. I don't see there being anything wrong with that. At 63 years old, though, you need to be a little bit more diversified at 63 years old, because a bad day in the market could fuck up. For example, I've taken some flyers on not crypto, but different stocks, right? I'm not going to have 300 grand in those stocks. I might have 1,000 or something like that on a flyer or whatever. But a good example would be, so I was just having a conversation with the guy that rents my house, rents my other property. And I was looking at things, so I had I'm usually not home when he comes and pays the rent. And he pays the rent in cash, right? So he comes over. So I happen to be home. We were having the conversation. I was like, hey, this guy's been renting from me since probably, maybe, all right, let's see. 2008, maybe? So 2008, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, he's been renting. renting for me, let's say 2009, maybe 2010. I forget exactly when it was, but a long time. I've always kept the rent lower than what I can get. And I've done that because it keeps a good tenant in my house, retired police officer, all this kind of stuff. So my taxes have gone up, my HOA has gone up. So he came over to pay the rent, and I was like, you know what, hey, what's your long-term plans? Because I'm getting, I've subsidized some of the, HOA increases, all this kind of stuff. And he's like, man, I'm just not sure. My wife has had a couple strokes. He's older. He's like 60. He might be 70 something now. I don't remember. So anyway, what it did was he's like, hey, how about I just rent here until August, then I'll go month to month in August, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I'm thinking, okay, if he leaves, I'm not going to be able to rent, or I'm not going to want to rent this place out anymore, because renting with somebody that's a known quantity is excellent. I know if I'm renting to him and something happens, he'll either fix it himself or pay to get fixed, and then he'll send me the bill. The rent's going to be in on time. I just don't want to deal with that, right? So as soon as he says, Lyle, I'm not renting anymore, I'm moving in with my daughter, whatever the situation is, I'm going to sell the property. So I'm going to come up with a bunch of fucking money. Where do I put that money? I'm not putting that money in crypto. I'm putting that money in something that's more stable. Not that there's anything wrong with crypto, but I'm not putting $300,000 into crypto. I might put, let's say the amount was 300,000, I might put 4,000 out of that 300,000, and and then put the rest in like a Berkshire Hathaway or like some kind of a mutual fund, but something to spread out my exposure. The older you get, the less risk and exposure you want to have to the market. And if I'm closer to 65 and retiring, maybe all that gets moved into like not necessarily cash, but something that's that safe. But 63 years old, that is too close. Listen, I came up when people were that age losing money, like their entire retirement, like over wrong investments. So I've seen that happen. All right. Shamarcus, definitely more than one road to get to the same destination. Shamarcus is a perfect example. We both were kind of in the same situation in terms of having multiple trucks and things like that. And I think I might have been a step ahead as far as things being paid off and things gonna be paid off and all that kind of stuff. But my tolerance to the risk and stuff like that, and mental anguish that goes along with running multiple trucks, with what the payoff was going to be, was a lot less than what his tolerance was. Over time, I could look at me running 2 paid off trucks. Yeah, over time, I'm going to make more money, but is that worth the risk? That's what a lot of people don't realize. And Shamarcus is maybe 1 month away from paying off, a couple of these trucks where he should be on the downward trend. And that's cool. That's definitely going to put him in a better position. But once you get older, okay, I guess my point in this, once you get older, and I'm saying once you get over 50, is you start trading time for stress or money for time, things like that. And I looked at it and I said, you know what? 2 paid off trucks, that's easy money. But then I started thinking about money for stress. Was that trade-off going to be enough? For me, it wasn't. Now, if I was 30 40 years old, maybe even 45 years old, I could have seen it. But there's more than one way to get you where you want to go. Absolutely. Trucking life, my Filipino wife, I used to buy Bitcoin. I had 20 Bitcoin on a computer in my basement, flooded. I still just get upset about it. You've got to be kidding me. That cannot be true. If that would have happened, I would have been pissed with what I've seen Bitcoin doing. Start building business credit from the get-go after signing that lease, then the banking credit will open up to you and your LLC 2 years later. I agree with that TV guy, and what I'm going to say even more is start building your fucking bank account so you don't have to rely on business credit. It's probably the best way to go. All right, 412, I'm going to check you out later, man. I might hit you up. I'm trying to figure out what this Blanton's is. The smell of this is just something unique that I have never smelled in any bourbon. So anyway, it's not worth what people pay for it. It's worth what my wife paid for it. It's not worth what it goes for on the secondary market. All right, so those of you guys just came in, just wanted to give a quick update on some of the stuff we spoke about earlier. We spoke about com data being down all the fucking time. If you happen to be transferring a title, things to watch out for there. So if you have questions about any of these things that just got into after that, leave it in the comments below. If you have a physical that's getting done, make sure that you check up with your state to make sure that your physicals are being handled correctly and you're not getting shut down based on expired physicals. Drunk drivers hanging out at truck stops. I think one thing, I'm not going to get into it now. We're a little bit too deep into this. Would I recommend trucking for my son? That was one thing that I think I didn't speak about earlier. But those were the topics we spoke about earlier in this. If you just came into this video, that's one thing I don't like about this whole crypto thing. First of all, I don't know anything about the, crypto, Bitcoin, none of that shit. If they would actually like regulate that and not, it's just a little bit too fucking crazy out there. You know what I mean? So when you have people like this whole Sam Bankman-Fried situation going down, what was that place called? What was that company called? Anyway, all that stuff happening, and you got people losing all their money because they like losing money because you lost your fucking wallet and lost $200 out of the thousands of dollars you have in your bank accounts different than you losing your wallet and losing everything that you fucking own. That needs to be changed before I even consider worrying about that shit. Well, I won't consider it because I'm too old anyway. Maybe a little bit, I don't know. But there's just too much fluctuation in that for me to really get excited about it. Am I going to be able to time the market just right? I want somebody to put the money in and just let it chill. I may not make as much money, but I know it's going to be there. And if I lose money, I'm not going to lose all the money. I know I don't have a lot of bourbon drinkers out there, but I can think of a bourbon that I would say is a much better bourbon for the money, especially than this. Um, Easier to find, more proof, just a better pour than what this would be. Trucking life. Okay, broke doing XRP in Sonola. I don't know anything about that. That's weird. I was supposed to go out to lunch with my daughter today. And she just texted me saying that she's not going to be able to do that, so I'll be chilling a little bit harder. They were supposed to be taking me out to, it's going to have them take me to Cheddar's. Not a place I would normally go to, but a good place where I'm not going to get broke down that much financially. And so now I'm not going to have to worry about that. Hey, anybody left in here, man? Tell me where you guys are working at. Like company name, shit like that. And then maybe even like where you're actually at. It looks like it's sunny in Denver after being horrible yesterday. Ton of accidents out there in Denver yesterday. I don't know how to pronounce it. I've seen those trucks. Henif, what do you like about that? Are you leased onto them company? Do you bring your own truck? What's up with them? Do a chicken gumbo for the first wife's birthday. Okay, doing a chicken gumbo for the first wife's birthday today. I know your last live, you had talked about doing a gumbo. All right, JJR, I spoke about doing not a gumbo, but fuck, what was that? It was not gumbo, jambalaya. And boy, I fucked that one up. Rather than using my own common sense, I did kind of try to follow a recipe since I've been out of been out of cooking for a while. Cooking was, so what I should have done, which would have been the correct thing to do, was I had everything perfect, right? The sausage, the shrimp, the chicken thighs, the seasoning, everything was perfect. And then when I added the rice, I should have turned the rice is perfect, right? All you got to do is throw the rice in there, put a cover on it, let a little bit of steam come out. It's going to cook up perfectly. But I left the burner on. They said, like, keep the burner on for like 5 minutes. I should have known. But anyway, the rice came out overcooked on that, which was fine. It wasn't horrible. The rice was overcooked, and then the rest of the shit, I just ended up like getting a colander and straining out the rice and then just picking out the meat. I was a little pissed about that one. All right, TV guide, stay away from Bitcoin, crypto mining. That's for wealthy individuals with millions. That's another thing I don't like about that. This whole like going out, to me, it's just corny, right? I'm going to have like a building with all these like things and we're going to be mining crypto. Like, come on. Like that is another goofy thing about it I just don't like. Just that whole thing. Like, I'm going to be out here actually calling myself spending money mining a fictional, like it doesn't make sense to me. I'm too old. And as far as properties go, I think I'm done with that until I I can't do that while I'm on the road the same way. 50 something left Prime, bought a truck and went to Landstar, not making any more or less. The reason I would be going to Landstar or anything would not be for the money, it would be for the freedom. So, for example, I have a little bit of freedom. You know what? I'm looking at the weather out there and I'm just chilling. You know what? But I mean, if I was just able to stay like where I want to stay and not, it'd be a little like if I had more to say over what loads I take. I mean, what loads I pick, that's invaluable. So if I'm making the same money doing what I want, how much is that worth? 500, 1,000, $1,000 a month? I mean, what's that worth? A lot. Prime running across 80 in Nebraska. Hey, better boring than in some bad weather. All right. Oh, Jada, I think that's how you pronounce it. MMA doing. Dang, it's been a long time since I've seen your live. I'm just out here chilling, man. I'm just out here hanging out. I don't want to go through that bottle that my wife bought me, but this is definitely a hot liquor right here. Let me tell you, 135 proof coming at you. Can only take like a little of that at a time. Cheers, I appreciate it. Van Eerden, I see them out in Cali. You know what? To me, that I don't know about Van Eerden. I know you're talking to somebody else, but that company has to be fine. I have never heard anybody say anything bad about that company. So that's a good question if somebody wants to answer that one. Joe, answer that. I've never, ever heard anything bad about that company. Now, I've heard some, obviously I've heard some problems with Prime. For those of you guys just came in, I'm going to just give my little thoughts on Prime. I think you have to look at Prime two different ways. And I think a lot of people don't look at it this way. I think Hirschbach is one that I hear a lot associated with Prime. So if I'm going to compare Hirschbach to Prime, and I'm talking regular leases, I think a lot of companies call every lease a lease purchase. There's a clear distinction between lease and lease purchase at Prime. If I'm doing a regular lease at Prime, that payment is higher than the industry standard, which means I need to complete that lease for that to pay out. Now, there's a couple different ways I could do that. I can say, okay, I'm going to lease for 3 years, which is usually the longest term unless you're flatbed. I think that might be 4. I'm going to get a brand new truck. I'm going to do 3 years. And when I get done paying it off or I complete this lease, then I get a lease completion bonus. And that's going to pay me back for all these extra payments I was making during the course of the lease, right? That will work. Or I'm going to say, do the same thing, except get an older truck and do a 1-year lease on it or whatever and make that money back that way. Prime drivers lose out when they don't complete leases. If you don't plan on completing a lease, there's no reason to lease the truck. You're losing the entire benefit. Why am I going to make $1,500 or $1,300 a month on a payment if I don't plan on completing it? Why not go somewhere else and pay $800 a month, right? So those are mistakes I see people making at Prime. Going into long-term leases with no strategy about it. So if you're brand new, leasing to Prime, coming out of training, whatever, one good thing about Prime is that's different than a lot of places is that truck has a lease incompletion date on it when it comes into service. So they aren't just saying, Oh, we had this driver that did 2 years on this lease, and now we're going to lease to somebody else for 3 years. No, at that point, that truck becomes a 1 year lease. So I know a lot of drivers that have done 1 year leases on trucks, got paid out their lease completion bonus, maybe not as big as obviously the three, having it for 3 years, but they completed the bonus, got some money back. Right? So there's a difference. The lease purchase at Prime, I don't believe, and somebody's got to show me if there is a company that does a better lease purchase out there than Prime. Paid off in 3 years, it's your title, all this kind of stuff. But it's going to be a 3-year commitment. You can walk away from that commitment, but if you do that commitment in 3 years, that title will be yours for $100. So that is my biggest thing with people that lease at Prime is they don't look at it long term, and they aren't getting the total benefit of making that payment. All right, let's see. All right, Johnny B, that's the way to do it. Short term and complete, and then get into a lease purchase. Completing it is the key. Absolutely. Like, listen, everybody has a different plan, okay? The way I look at things is I cannot see going from lease to lease to lease. Not saying that my way is the right way, but I can't see leasing with Prime. So let's say I get a brand new truck, leasing it at Prime, doing an ACE lease, or excuse me, a regular lease. And in 3 years, I pay it off, or not pay it off. I complete the lease. They give me, let's even say $20,000 cash. And then I release another truck and do that again for 3 years. To me, that is the epitome of a hamster wheel without being able to get off. I can't see that one. I'm not saying that my way is right. I just can't see doing it. But what's even worse is when you see people, and I'm not mentioning anybody's name, work at companies doing these partial leases for the last 10 years over and over and over again, not even completing any of the leases at all, not getting any of the financial benefit of anything, whether it's a lease payoff, a title, nothing, and just doing it over and over and over again with no benefit, like being in the same place 10 years later as you were when you first started. That is the biggest problem. So whether you're at Prime or wherever it is, there's got to be a clear point in where you want to be at a certain point. And I think JJR, if you're at Prime, he just said that doing the ACE lease is true. They don't give the cash and your bonus back if you don't finish it on a standard lease. The payment difference between a lease purchase at Prime, an actual lease purchase, and a regular lease at Prime is about $100 a month less on the purchase, right? So over 36 months, that's fuck. How many weeks is that? It's well, I guess you could do 36 times 4, right? My math is not all that great. 36 months times, let's just do it like this. So it's costing you about $4,300 more to do a regular purchase or regular lease than a lease purchase, more. So you've ended up putting, anyway, it's a long story. You put down money on a regular lease purchase than on a regular lease, but you get the title. I mean, that's a whole nother video. I just don't see not To me, okay, let's put it this way. To me, if you're going to compare Prime's lease to any other lease out there, and we're not talking about a lease purchase, but the regular lease, I don't see there being that major of a benefit financially. Sure, you might have benefits if you like Prime for one reason or another. That might make sense. But to me, there's not that big of a difference between, going somewhere and paying less money and not getting any completion bonus than it is paying more at Prime and getting it, especially if you don't pay it off. I'm having a hard time wrapping myself around how to explain this, but all right. Lewis 71. I got my CDL with Prime 2021, 3 months in. Ordered my lease purchase, about to finish paying my lease purchase in May. Excited to see what checks look like without that payment. Hey, 71. The beginning of this video, I'm going to do this just for you. When you get that title in the mail, there's certain things you might have to do when you go transfer your title. So hopefully you're still listening to this. States may be different, but what I needed to do in Colorado was I needed to get a VIN verification. I got that done at Peterbilt. You could do it at Freightliner or wherever. Tell them you need a VIN verification. For some reason, they needed an empty scale ticket, just bobtail scale ticket. You're going to need that. You're going to need a copy of you don't need it. They may ask for it to prove that the buyout was $100. You're going to want a copy of your lease contract from Success Leasing. Bring that with you. They didn't even ask me for my insurance, or my cab card, but you may want to have a copy of not the insurance that we pay for on the side for our, you need the insurance that Prime would have on the truck. So bring that, and then a copy of your cab card. That's all I needed. And you definitely make sure they don't charge you more than sales tax on $100. So hopefully you're around to hear that. And then payments are delicious. Man, listen, my last load, I've been home for this is my third week. It's only cost me I forget what my fixed costs are, $300 and something to be home. Because when I came home, I had a $2,000 load, right? Or $2,100. On that load, I filled up my fuel tank because I like leaving home full. What went into my account was $1,100 into my emergency fund, plus $196 to my bank account. So on $2,000, I net $1,296. So I'm telling you, it's definitely trust me, it's going to be hard to stay focused. Okay, Johnny B, this may be a dumb question, but when can you be profitable running out west, or does the fuel eat too much out of your profit in relation to prices and mountain driving? That is a good question, Johnny B. To me, it doesn't really make sense running west or northeast for the same reasons. Now, I do it because I work for a company that expects me to run freight in 24 or 48 states, but it doesn't make sense profitable or profit-wise. Every now and then in the summer, you may get those monster loads coming out of the Northwest, I know for sure. I can remember back to a load running out of Seattle going to Florida that was paying like $7,600, a while back. But and I couldn't complete that load because I didn't have hours, but my fleet manager's like, just run it as far as you can. So I think I ran it about a little over half the way. But sometimes it's not even about the money. Like, There's nothing in that New Jersey, New York City area that you could pay me enough money for the headache. But I don't think it makes sense, especially the Northeast. You're going to run the Northeast. You're going to pay more for fuel, more for tolls. You're not going to get shit out of there. Like, those are loads that you do as a favor or just because you're running in a certain network at Prime. Like, you're not doing that. Like, if you're taking a load to Northeast, it's not because you're like thinking about how profitable your truck is going to be or how much more profitable your truck's going to be taking that load, because it's not. So that's not a dumb question, Johnny. There's just no reason to do it for the most part. A new lease driver told me the Freightliner is hitting him for $1,500 a week. Man, I heard them truck payments are killing them. Not that they're more than what they should be, but the last payment I had, or the payment on this truck before I turned it in. As a matter of fact, I got the lease date, or I have the contract here. My last payment on this was $11.63. You know, I'm planning on driving my 22 Freightliner till the wheels fall off. I'm planning on driving my 2009 Dodge 1500 Hemi Ram until the wheels fall off. I already drove it until the exhaust fell off, so I only got but so much further I need to go. Well, at least got another year and a half, I think. Because I'm straight piping that right now until I need to get emissions on it, and then I'll probably just give it away or sell it. All right, Joe, we run Michigan to California. I run team with my wife. We gross $230,000 a year. Plus, if your team and run 267,000 miles, you get paid $8,700 for bonus. They also have solo runs that run out west. Team is a totally different situation. I could see a bunch of reasons to do team. In the summertime, the best thing I like to do. Hold on a second. Did Taylor tell you she's not?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I should have remembered that too.
So what time are you talking about going to have lunch tomorrow?
So tomorrow, I don't know. I mean, I guess noon, whenever. Like, that's what I told her. I'm fine. Whenever they want to come down and meet, then they can pick up little one from then.
Oh, so you're still going and picking him up?
No. Today, yes, but tomorrow we'll drop him off at the lunch when we.
So you're bringing him over here for no fucking reason?
What do you mean?
I'm joking.
I'm
joking.
Make any sense. He's getting right.
I know.
I knew.
That's no reason.
Oh yeah, that's why you're all over it.
We have tried this. It's a different.
All over it. That's enough. I guess that double oak.
There's no reason I wouldn't have gone for it.
Yeah, I guess it normally does so.
All right, so. Yeah, so I'm definitely running ghetto out here in my personal home truck right now. It's just not worth me putting the money into it, so I am out here driving that shit like a straight pipe 69 Chevelle. It's not quite that loud, but it's a little bit louder.
I didn't think it sounded any louder than normal to me.
You know why?
It's always loud.
You know why?
What?
Probably because there was a crack after it passed through the muffler anyway. So that crack it's got louder over the last 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's loud.
So as long as I get another year and a half out of it, shit, I can give that thing away for $500,000 something. Be good to go.
I'm all about it with mine too. I'm not trying to get anything different. Number one, I just like it.
Hey Joe, are you talking about with your company choosing East Coast, West Coast, regional?
Do you want to eat, mommy? Is that why you're barking at me? Do you want to eat? Daddy waiting for me to come home. It's okay. That's our.
You know, Prime has some regional stuff. I've talked to some people, especially in flatbed, where
Mm-hmm.
that Southeast regional hasn't really worked out well for them. Most of the people I know that are on reefer Midwest regional do well, but I just don't want to be locked into that.
Are you hungry, baby? Are you hungry?
And I feel like me and my fleet manager are tight enough to where he knows where I like and don't like to go. So me turning down a load is very like, it's not anything that usually happens, but I'm not afraid to do it. Every now and then I feel like you need to turn down a load just to turn down a load so they know that you'll turn down a load. All right, Justin, I'm on the Texas loop, Laredo to Houston, back and forth. It's ass right now. Is that the loop with Prime? Because I knew somebody on that loop. It's been a while since I've known him on that loop. But are you talking about with Prime? That seemed like a good loop, at least when I was talking to him. Because it seemed like I got in that groove for like a load and a half. Like I didn't keep running that, if you're talking about with Prime, but I did go down. I did go to Houston, picked up in Houston, and then ran to Laredo, did whatever I did down there, then went back up to that area, and then I guess I did come back. But then after that, I got bounced out of that loop. The person I knew that ran that loop out there, he's the older guy that had the uh, Georgia Bulldog Freightliner. If you've ever seen that truck out there, I don't think he's still driving these days. See, Colton, California is good. I don't know if I want to mess with that in the wintertime. Even on the 10 down there, if winter, I guess that's not bad if you're on the 10. My thing about going that far west is I always am apprehensive about getting out of there. Man, this is weird. Frankie's coming downstairs.
I see her. Hi, honey. You don't want to come down? Okay. What you want? Come here. Come here, Mama.
Now, in the summertime,
You want to go outside?
the best place I can be is if I get a load and I bounce around between Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, like that whole area, I call it getting in the matrix. If I can get in the matrix and stay there for like about 3 or 4 loads, it always seems like as soon as I get a groove, I get bounced out of it. But that is what I love. Like when I get them like little 300, 400-mile runs from like Michigan to Illinois, or, that is what I love in the summer, not in the winter. Anyway, see if I'm frozen up in here. All right, Justin. So wait, let me get back to what you were saying. I'm on Texas. How did you get on that Texas loop if you're still in here, Justin? And what did it used to pay compared to what it is paying now? Because I knew somebody that used to run that. It wasn't that exact loop, but it was still kind of a Texas dedicated, but they ran up into New Mexico every now and then. And I haven't picked up at this place in a long time, probably over 5 years. But there was a cheese place we used to pick up out in Mexico or New Mexico. And that guy used to go up there every now and then and bounce back down. All right, for those of you guys just came in, man, I just wanted to kind of talk about some of the stuff we were talking about earlier in case you wanted to go back. We were talking about comm data being all shitty and going down all the time. What to look out for on your title if they send you a title on a truck that got paid off. Spoke about my truck update, going back in the shop again. Hopefully I'll be ready to leave out by the 22nd. I've talked to a number of people that have physical, or at least one person, and then saw a video about somebody whose physical wasn't updated with their state that got put out of service. Onboarding for prime drivers. If you're coming to prime with experience, they are basically throwing you out to the wolves on that. Representing prime or whatever trucking company you're with. There was a video out about a driver that was basically wandering around a truck stop like he was drunk as fuck. That was pretty much what we spoke about earlier. Johnny B, I'm not sure I would run. Think about running North or Western 11. In the summer, that shit's all good, but when winter comes, are they going to be so easy to want you to jump off of that? Would I want to be running winter Western 11? Man, I'll dabble in that shit, but could I be stuck up there all winter long? Yeah, no, I couldn't do that one. All right, Justin just told my fleet manager I need something to get me home more. But if I'm able to run it every day, pay is $2,400 net. Just lately been having to wait a day every week. So net been more like 14 to 1600. All right, I hear that. I don't know. Yeah, $1,600. I don't know. I mean, if it's consistent, I could see that. And if you're getting home as much as you want, I could see that being a win. All right, anyway. I'm about to get off here. I do appreciate everybody stopping in here. Hey, stay warm out there because it looks like a little bit of weather is coming across the country. I'm out.